All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Kristen Cambenzi,
Here.
Glenn Sarka, James Hewitt,
Here.
Jennifer Cliff,
Here.
Jennifer Ray, Cheryl Maddox Smith,
Here.
Jason Zadunik,
Here.
Okay, and I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda. Support.
Motion made by Mr. Zadunik, support by Mr. Hewitt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Cambenzi and audience for coming tonight. Sandy Knoll for hosting. Pleasure to be here. I would like to, under the superintendent report, invite Principal Stacy Brock to the podium or cart for a presentation. And then looks like she's got some other guests as well.
I do.
Thank you.
Can everyone hear me? Because I can just talk loud.
Mrs. Brock, just a little word of advice. I'm looking at our sound person. They really like when you talk in the microphone, otherwise it doesn't get picked up by the feed.
How does that work, okay? All right. Welcome to Sandy Knoll Elementary. I have a lot of wonderful things to share with you, and then I have some students here and our robotics coach. They would like to share a little demonstration with the board and the audience. So I will get started. I'm sorry, you have to turn around for our update. So I have it broken into a few different categories. So I'll start with the I'll start with the goals, targets, and expectations of our building. So Sandy Knoll has been a reward school for the last 2 years. I just shared an excerpt from my annual education report that we're proud to announce. We've been named a reward school based on an A grade on school grades. Hopefully we'll have the 3rd year in a row. Reward schools receive an A grade based on components of proficiency growth and peer comparisons on state testing. So we're very proud of the effort on the part of all of our staff in our building for that. So we hope 3 years in a row is going to happen for us. Part of being able to make gains and show academic success like that is setting goals in our building. So my staff gets together, we collectively put an effort on setting building goals. We've raised our benchmarks this year to 90% because we feel with our scores from last year that we are up there high enough to be able to set our goals at 90%. I highlighted the areas that are very important. 100% of students show growth, and that is an expectation in this building. No matter what level, everyone shows growth. And that's the expectation every teacher has and every staff member in this building has. So we hold tight to that expectation. The multi-tier system of support building level team also spends time working collaboratively together to set curriculum targets for our building. This year we're focusing on improving our reading comprehension, aligning our phonics instruction, which is now JK through 5th grade, our math, continuing interventions, and utilizing math recovery. Many of our staff have been trained in AVMR, which is a math recovery strategy to help students that are struggling in math. So we have specialized strategies to intervene with those students' need areas. Writing, focusing on grammar skills and improving writing, focusing on handwriting at the early elementary level, And then our social emotional, we are spending a lot of time doing professional development on trauma-informed practices and sensory deficits for our students, working on progress monitoring behavior plans, and creating better data collection overall for behaviors in the building. So we set not only goals, but we also set targets at the building level. What is working here at Sandy Knoll? There are a lot of things working very well. Staff expectations for one another, collective efficacy, believing that all staff can make a difference, goal setting, which we have district goals, building goals, and then personal staff goals. Curriculum targets, which I showed you, and understanding the why we do these things. High expectations for a respectful climate here in the building. Shared responsibility and teamwork. In-depth work in identifying need areas and creating intervention groups that are ever changing, so a continuous improvement model. If it's not working, then we change our focus and try something else until it works. The staff never gives up, and we are constantly monitoring whether things are working or not. Focusing on the whole child, making connections to students in the classroom, in the building, building relationships, managing and intervening with behaviors, and then setting high expectations for our academics. Student achievement was amazing last year. In the beginning of this year, we had to set new baselines for what we're starting with because of our scores from last year. So that was super exciting. We had to make a whole building adjustment. Oh, we're not starting here anymore. We're starting at a different level because our students are testing in the fall at a higher level than they have before. So we set our baselines now higher, which is super exciting. Providing grade levels time to meet, discuss, and plan. And then focusing on visible learning practices. Our staff spent 2 days in October in a professional development on visible learning by the works of John Hattie, who has researched greatly the educational impacts on strategies that work, that make the most impact on students. He also calls them effect sizes, so that's our major focus in our building right now. What I try to do with staff is taking those components of the visible learning connections and connecting them to what we use as staff evaluations district-wide to make those evaluations meaningful for staff. So you can see each month we have a different focus. We just finished Teacher Clarity in October. We spend a lot of work digging into what is teacher clarity, how does that work in our building, how does that work for our students. This month is learning environment, classroom and school climate. These are things that we've been talking about for a couple of years now, but now we are really digging into how we are going to intentionally make this happen in our classrooms. So each month we have a different focus. If we're focusing on that in the building, I also believe in transparency with families. So in my November newsletter, I shared that these are the focuses in our building with families, so they understood which each meant. So classroom, school climate, building relationships with students, evidence-based practices that we use in the building, student learning impact and the importance of that, teacher influence, the significant impact that teachers have through their effective teaching practices, feedback and student-teacher relationships, student engagement, having students being involved in their learning process, setting goals for themselves, progress monitoring their progress toward their goals on their own, and driving their instruction. So the teachers are really working on how to make that happen in their classroom, so students are driving their learning. And encouraging active participation, and that gives them ownership of their learning as well. And just the visible learning. When teachers clarify their learning intentions, they set a success criteria for students and provide very usable, meaningful feedback to students to enhance their understanding of their progress. So these are the focuses of our building. And yes, transparency with families, so families also know what we're focusing on. A lot of this work happens not without our instructional coach, Amy Pruner. I'm going to let her speak On behalf of some of the great work that she's doing, we greatly appreciate the board allowing us to have instructional coaches in our building. It's made a huge impact.
Okay. So we have declared a focus this year for coaching, and our focus essentially is teacher clarity. We're focusing on creating learning intentions and then also success criteria, and that is something that we do within the coaching process if we're in a coaching cycle with a teacher. And then, you know, these are kind of the first steps that we take when we decide what we're going to work on together. So we've had 8 full coaching cycles completed and counting. I'm currently in a coaching cycle with a fifth grade teacher. We're working on writing, and she sees all 3 classes. So I feel like that's going to have a lot of bang for our buck because she's seeing all 3 of the 5th grade classes, and we're working together. Brand new teacher, so she was like, I need help. I need some ideas on how to plan this writing unit that I've been tasked with. And things are going great there. 2 mini coaching cycles. So instead of having something that goes maybe 4 to 6 weeks, it's more of like a 1 to 2 weeks. You're co-teaching maybe 1 lesson and focusing on a smaller concept or idea for the teacher. We've also got, we've had coaching cycles in writing, math, small group instruction, and also some behavior. And then lots of time is spent collecting resources for teachers. And just a lot of my job is teachers stopping by during the day saying, hey, I need to run something by you, or can you just be my thought partner in this? And a lot of that can then be rolled into and create a coaching cycle out of that. So lots of listening for openings and things like that within PLCs, and just those mini consulting opportunities when teachers drop by.
Thank you. I don't know where I would be without Amy helping out in the building, so thank you very much, and the staff greatly appreciates her as well. I won't read through all of these. I have some testimonials for staff. I just wanted to highlight a couple parts of these testimonials. This is from one of our 1st grade teachers. Last year she was a 1st-year teacher. She just said our grade level team discussed different ways that we could incorporate our science, social studies standards into our ELA block. With the help of the grade level team, title team, and instructional coach, we came up with a plan to utilize books that directly relate to our 1st grade science and social studies standards to create story of the week time. I highlighted she uses a hands down conversation technique, which the entire class gets in a circle. No one's allowed to raise their hand, but they discuss parts of the book by just saying, I agree, I disagree. So they're building that discussion, group discussion etiquette in the classroom. I've watched it, it's absolutely amazing. This is from one of our kindergarten teachers. I did a coaching cycle last spring with Amy. Our focus was to get my kindergarten students to write a complete sentence, appropriate capitalization, spacing between words, and ending punctuation. She said it was great to have Amy bring in another perspective. She helped me incorporate more time for students to share their work, and it was her idea to go on a nature walk, which the students loved. It was beneficial to have Amy to bounce ideas off and work together. We made a great team. And another testimonial from another 1st grade teacher. The coaching cycle in PLCs consistently raise the question, what do we do next? Amy keeps us moving forward in our teaching, always looking for ways to grow and improve. We analyze what we do that's working well and what we can do differently to meet the needs of each child in our room. Our students are the ones who benefit most from her knowledge and expertise. So not only do I appreciate Amy, but the entire staff in the building appreciates the work that Amy does here. So thank you. My next part is building community connections. I reach out to the community often, and we have a lot of places we go and a lot of connections that come to the building. I'm just going to highlight some of the things that we do. Anna Dravelin is doing Bundle Up Marquette here on our playground fence on November 23rd. We had the Sandy Knoll Toys for Tots. Our 5th grade is in charge of the TV6 Canathon. We have, and they will start after their season, High Five, well, they do it during their season as well, but when they're available, we do High Five Fridays with NMU Women's Volleyball Team. We've had 2 SEL family nights, and we plan to have one every year, so we will have a 3rd one. We have Title I family night, Christmas and spring music concerts, Make a Difference Day. We just completed, they raked on Saturday, the 2nd, the swim and dive team, and several of our Sandino families rake the entire playground. So they come and do that every year on Make a Difference Day. In March, April, and May, I also have the NMU women's soccer team volunteers on our playground in shifts to just play soccer with the kids. We have a lot of soccer games going on the playground, and just hang out and play with the kids. That is one of their highlights of their school year, they tell me. So I'm sure they will continue doing that as well. We have our 5th graders. I just started a connection with Norlight Nursing Homes. Our 5th graders just paid a visit there on Halloween, on the 31st. They paraded through the hallways, and the residents there gave out candy. I just received an email from the staff at Norlight, and they said it was a highlight of their day. They're still talking about it from last Thursday. So they asked us to come back in December to do Christmas caroling, and we are going to do that. So we've built a partnership with the nursing home. Our classes visit the Marquette Regional History Museum. That we have a couple different grade levels that visit there. Several grade levels visit the Peter White Public Library for different events. And the Marquette Fire Department does several fire safety activities in October. So we coordinate with, community is very important to me. And community grows a child. And so reaching out wherever we can, and if anybody comes in and wants to volunteer in the building, you know, we have volunteers come in from different areas also. Another highlight is our after-school activities and clubs that we have here. We have several activities and clubs after school. Start Fit, Stay Fit is coordinated with NMU students. We have that in the fall and winter. We have 4th and 5th graders doing Start Fit, Stay Fit right now. Art Club, we have 2 sessions, one in the fall and one in the winter. We have that starting tomorrow. We have Lego Club, which is turned into, which they will be doing a little presentation, our first competitive elementary robotics team. Mr. Clegg started a Sandino bike train last spring, and I'm sure he will continue that this coming spring. So. Sandino track also we have in the spring as well. So we have a lot of activities going on. The last 2 years I was here, we also had Spanish Club throughout the school year, but we weren't able to do that this year. Lots of things happening. So I will let the robotics coach and 2 team members give you a little demonstration. They are competing in December, correct? All right.
So switching gears. This was kind of me taking an opportunity to get back with kids. I miss kids, I miss the classroom. So we started a Lego robotics team last year, and from there we gained interest and were able to get some students together to make 2 teams, which is a little bit more, I think, than I thought it was gonna be, but we have 2 teams that are gonna be competing in December at Northern. So when you think about First Lego League, it's more than just the Legos, it's more than building, it's more than the missions that you're going to see. There's a theme every year. This year the theme is submerged. So all of the ideas are going to be based around water and things like that. Perfect opportunity up here. So there's a research project that the students actually complete, an innovation project, where they come up with a problem based around the theme, and then they have to create a presentation and try to solve that problem using maybe an invention that they would come up with. They talk to people from the community that might be experts in this area. They do research on their own. And they come up with a presentation that they will then present to the judges during the competition. So This robot game and building a robot is only 1/3 of the actual score that they will receive in December. So they have the robot game, a research project, and also what we call core values. And those are their teamwork, their ability to include everyone, their ability to work on their own and not need, there's guidance, but it's very student-centered, and they are solving the problems, they are figuring it out as they go. These are the core values, so there's discovery, innovation, impact, teamwork, inclusion, and of course fun. So the innovation project, there's 2 teams. Our first team has come up with the idea of climate change and the impacts on coral degradation. And yes, they do know what degradation means at 4th and 5th grade. They were able to research and say, yes, that's what we want to focus on. And then our second team has decided to focus on invasive species. So they're going to research, they'll talk to experts, and come up with a presentation and a solution. So this is the robot game. I'm going to have some of my students come up, and if you guys want to kind of huddle around the table, you're welcome to do that. So the students will have 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, excuse me, to try and solve as many missions as they can. Each of the missions has a different solution, and they will have to create the codes outside of the competition day. So we go to the competition with all the codes created and all of the arms. So the only thing that they followed instructions for were building the robot, and we also followed to create the missions and make those the right way. But all of the arms, anything that they add to the robot is something that they had to come up with and create on their own through trial and error and things like that. So they had to look at each of the missions and say, okay, which one do we want to try and what does that entail? So in this case, they saw a push, and then they would need to be able to drag it back to the home base. All the way back, JD, there you go. So there are several rules that they have to follow when they do this. So they have to start within the home base, and then they have to make sure that the robot also returns to the home base. If they touch the robot within the game mat, they actually lose points. So that's what those red things, the red circles are for, is the red circles will be removed, and every time those get removed, they lose points. So they want to try and complete the missions and get as many points as you can in 2.5 minutes. They have 3 different rounds that they will compete in, and the one round that gains the most points is the one that will go into our final score. Is it connected? Okay.
So are these nerves work?
No.
Okay.
Oh, try it again. Yeah, so there's a lot of trial and error. We also talk a lot about like ratios and what's your ratio from being able to complete on a regular basis, or is this one that you get 2 out of 10 times or 3 out of 6 times? I know this one's been really consistent until now. Hey guys, that's all right, try again. You got it. Is it the way you're hitting it? So there's a lot of trial and error that goes into it, making sure that they get it each time. We've talked a lot about making sure, there you go. So then, that would be one of the scoring opportunities, so that would score them 30 points. Then, if they could figure out a way to get that octopus all the way over to this circle, that would gain them another 20 points. So then that would be the next part of the mission, or if they decide not to do that because it's a little bit harder, they wouldn't have to do that. So we just started coding, so that's the first code that they've completed. They are currently working on, if you want to show them, Reagan, they're attempting to move the boat from one end of the game board to the other. But you'll also notice it's not just going to be a simple push. They need an arm that will reach around one of the other challenges that are on the board. So none of those will be removed. They have to make sure that they can figure out how they're going to move that board from one end to the next and also avoid the cribs that are set up on the board. So we're currently working on this one and trial and erroring it. They actually just added some more reinforcements because they were noticing that the arm was a little too loose. So they needed to enforce the arm a little bit so that it didn't, yeah, so it's still not quite working. We've got an idea there, but it's not quite working. But they'll continue trial and erroring this, or they'll say, you know what, we're just not gonna be consistent enough with this. Maybe we'll try another mission. So, did you guys have any questions for the kiddos or for me or anything like that? Or if you guys wanna say anything to me, that's fine too.
Great job. Everybody pitched in, okay, and breathe. And the board, I guess, the board held it with that, like that, or?
We kind of got married when we built.
Yeah, one of our parents offered to build it for us.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it's been a big team effort.
Yeah, they're very complicated, so.
They are, and that's what I'm hearing. I'm like, I chose the wrong year to get into it. Everybody that's talking about this online has said this is the most complex board they've seen. So, yeah, there's different missions. So like this one, you want to get the shark out of here, and then he needs to go to the circle behind the boat. There's one here where they actually have to lift this and get it onto the hook. This one is usually down, so they would push this and get the coral up. This one they would actually have to remove this guy, and he goes, I can't remember, oh, he's got to come off and go into the boat. There's a lot of these, they call them samples from the ocean floor. There's a sample here, a sample here. They go into the research vessel.
And then we could
Yep, pull the trident out of there. So there's lots of missions, and of course, there's going to be some that we're just going to ignore because it's just going to be a little bit more difficult. But we're going to focus on the ones we decided that are going to be the most consistent for us, that we can consistently complete.
That is very exciting. That is awesome.
They also there. But walking the kids in the winter.
Thank you, Tori and Wayne. Great job. They are having a lot of fun. Last year we had Lego Club. Pretty much starting in like January till the end of the year last year we had Lego Club go.
Yeah, we started in January and went till May.
So we had a lot of kids that were involved in that. Thank you. Okay, and the very last part of presentation is the future of outdoor spaces here. So I have a few new pieces of equipment, 2 new swing sets and a Wii Saw that's out on the playground. It's brightened up the playground, and I have a few bolts that I'm waiting to be sent so we can redo the climbing walls. Some of this stuff we have, so the hammocks for the Reading Forest, we have those materials that were through a grant. The towel heart, the drums, we have through a grant. The greenhouse and the planting beds will be coming as well. And then, I'm hoping to get some equipment. I have 4 sections of early childhood special education here at this building. So I'm looking to get some equipment for 2 to 5-year-olds on the playground. And then some other pieces to fill in and brighten up the playground here. So we are starting, but we're hoping to complete more projects next summer. And that is all I have right now. So thank you very much.
Great job, Mrs. Brock. Thank you very much. And thank you, Mrs. Pruner. And the boys.
Yeah, they took
Looks
off
like
already.
they left. Not before grabbing a cookie.
Homework, yeah, oh yeah.
So that is all I have under the superintendent report. President Cambenzi, I will pass it back over to you.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, moving on to comments from the public. Do we have any? Okay, we'll move on to board member comments. We'll start with Mrs. Maddox-Smith.
This is just absolutely my favorite time of year, is coming to all the schools, and seeing what you guys are doing here is just amazing, because it really puts a fine point on what we're doing on the board. And when we come here and we actually see the excitement and the passion in the kids, like, it's amazing, and it just makes me really proud to be a part of this board and a part of this community. So thank you for all you're doing.
Mr. Zedudnik.
Well, thank you to Mrs. Brock for opening up the school. As an alumni of Sandy Knoll, and I don't even remember when. It's always nice to come back in this capacity, or in any capacity. And I really like the community collaboration pieces, amongst other things that you have going on. I think it's great to get involved with other areas of the community. I was really glad to see those things. And so, but outside of that, I don't think I have any additional comments. Thank you.
Mrs. Clip.
Most of this has already been said, but I do want to just take a minute to thank both of you, and I'm hoping you can pass this along. You all make this look easy, and good instruction does look easy, but it is a very deliberate and at times difficult cognitive process to kind of peel the onion, right? I don't think people understand how cerebral it can be, and a lot of times it becomes this kind of conversation. Well, you're working with second graders, or you're working with fifth graders, or in my case, you're working with 12-year-olds. But the reality is, it requires so much mental diligence to be able to deconstruct concepts so that they can be rebuilt with the kids. And that is, you gotta have a lot of arms and a lot of hands and a lot of brain. And so I recognize, I want just to be very clear that I recognize how much mental work goes into this. You guys are killing it. That was cool. I didn't understand most of what was going on, and they're definitely smarter than I am. But thank you both, and please pass that along. Thank you to the staff. Good stuff, you guys.
Thank you.
Mr. Hewitt.
Yeah, just thanks again. Really appreciate all of the additional, obviously, of the classroom activities that are doing on a daily basis, but the extracurricular, and that includes the community partnership activities. Those are really phenomenal. Certainly, I know other buildings within our district do some of those, but it seems to be a highlight, even for your building especially, to focus on that. It's really great to see. So, keep it up.
Okay, board president comments. Just thank you so much for having us. This is the highlight of our year, coming to the different buildings and seeing what you have going on. And it's nice to see things in person rather than just, reading it on a piece of paper or in an email. So we just really appreciate you guys for all your hard work and for having us. Announcements and other meetings. November 6th, K through 12 parent-teacher conferences, K through 5 half day. November 7th through 8th, K through 12 half day. November 8th, MSHS musical looking miserable. I didn't take French. At Kaufman at 7 p.m. Also on November 9th at 1 and 7 p.m. And then we will recess to closed session pursuant to Section 8A of the Open Meetings Act, employees' request to consider a periodic personnel evaluation. Do we need motion and support for that?
I'll make a motion that we convene into close, or sorry, not to convene into closed session.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Hewitt, supported by Mrs. Clip. Do we need a roll call for that?
No.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.